So there's been uproar on social media after it was seen. I think it was reported that Maxine Wahome, who is currently on trial for the murder of her boyfriend Asad Khan, that she's back to racing, and I think her sponsors are still on board. And here people are talking about the double standards of the Kenyan advertising and whatever social media ecosystem, whatnot. Where if dudes do something, if guys do something, then immediately the repercussions are instant. But if some other people do it, it's almost like there's politically correct crimes in Kenya. So like her, ideally, on that single basis, she should have dropped all her endorsements and whatever. But they continued. Even Safaricom were pulling out. They were pulling out much later, even after all the evidence had been cleared, and they were pulling out not because they really wanted. So the discussion or about the whatever the double standards, and you as the dudes who feel like we are, there's something wrong over here. It's time for you to use your financial might. You have the money. You start boycotting brands which are not, defending or standing with people on the basis of facts and logic, or they're making emotional decisions. You understand? So, like I've been looking at, I saw the Google communications, head of communications in Kenya. She said, she's called Dorothy Ooko. She said that Kibe violated YouTube's terms of service while he was restricted from using YouTube features, including videos on his channel. He used another channel to get around these restrictions. Look, well, they are using a lot of grammar and semantics to just say that we are censoring this guy. We are blacking out him. We are blacking him out for his opinions. And we are at an era where we are supposed to accept opinions as they come, because we know opinions. We know everyone who is spewing toxic opinions, and they are still onboarded. They haven't been blacklisted by this social media app. So we are living in a world of can we say contradictions? We are seeing people when it's convenient for them, like this Kenya Kusha shit show. When it's convenient for them, then they can come and say that the international price of oil has, I don't know, gone up. I don't know what. But when it goes down, and it's gone down twice this year, those benefits are not passed on to the consumer. So we are living in a world where when people have decided to take a drastic course of action, which will have long-term effects, negative effects on a certain cluster of people, then they are quick to concoct narratives and to invoke them when it suits them. So this is not a one size fits all. This is not a universal playbook or rules that they follow to the letter. This is all convenient. Like I was looking sometimes at these AdSense. For instance, like now me, most of the corporates would think that, oh, I'm a hot wire. You can't touch that guy because he's very political. But when you go to Google when you go to AdSense, you'll see ads by somebody like Safaricom. Safaricom would prefer. They would, when it comes locally, then when they sit down in their meetings, in their boardrooms, that guy is too political, he's too, it would be brand suicide to align with him. But Google has AdSense, which then onboards all advertisers, irrespective of their opinions or whatever. So for Safaricom, they've put a black CEO. So they've put a black person to validate white depravity. So the idea here is that this is a colonial construct. They would want to suppress anyone as possible. I mean, it's unfathomable. White people get sick to hear black people being empowered. So they'd rather pay that money to Google, to a Muzungu in Silicon Valley, to benefit that Muzungu than pay the content creator themselves over here. I told you, you're dealing with a colonial establishment. People still have a colonial hangover, 60 years after independence. People would want to revert to their, can we say, biases, because the key here is the white man does not to see black people empowered. If he's empowering you on the basis that you're driving his agenda. So he'll give you he'll throw you a bone in exchange for mass spreading of his toxicity. I was looking at at a lady there who unfortunately has fallen ill. She's called Anita Rae, and I was looking at her saying that she's been quiet because she got Bell's palsy. And just a few months ago, she was promoting Bill Gates, saying that he's being unfairly targeted about the vaccines and whatever. And then she was tackling also vaccine misinformation, saying that the vaccines are good. And I'm telling you people, when you're dealing with Muzungus, you take care, you people. When you're pushing their agendas, you take care. I've told you, Muzungus, you take care. And by Muzungus, I also don't mean them alone. I mean, they have their own black agents, like in the corporate Kenya. I've told you, the people in the corporates, they would hate to see just ordinary people empowered. If you're being empowered by corporate money, then you're pushing their agenda below whatever, below under the table there, or subliminally, or sometimes even overtly. So take care, guys. Take care. I told you. And I've told you the media houses to avoid. I told you Tuko, I told you Kenyans, those ones, they run agendas. They no longer do journalism anymore. They run agendas. And who's like now, every time Moses Kuria picks a tweet, they are so quick to amplify it. Why are they amplifying it? Because Moses Kuria is an agent of white toxicity, white depravity. The first time I ever saw Moses Kuria physically like this was in Nyayo Stadium. 2013, he was with Muzungus. By then, the company was called BTP Active or something. Those are the guys who rigged Uhuru's first election. And then those are the same guys who rebranded and became Cambridge Analytica. And they came here, they ruined our social structure, they ruined our democracy, they poisoned it literally. And you've seen these Muzungus when they're about to execute a new project, they use Kenya as a testing ground. You remember that Cambridge Analytica, you Chat GPT, they came here, you saw WorldCoin the other day. Kenya is the testing ground, which is why I was asking my friends over the weekend, I asked them a simple question. When was the last time you laughed uncontrollably? You can't, because there are people who are feeding us with negative energy. I called out Lynn Goge, and I've seen she's really improved. Now she's doing interviews, sober interviews. But she used to be just pushing toxic content all the time. She's just pushing, I don't know, this guy was killed, I don't know, he removed his heart. Those are the stories that she used to push. And this was a deliberate effort sponsored by Wazungus to spread negative energy. You understand? So you have to be careful about where we are headed as a country. I was talking about Moses Kuria and his toxicity. Now that he's seen that he's not getting the intended benefits on the platform of Twitter, he had to now go on in public and now start shaming Kenyans on Twitter for criticizing the Kenya Kwisha regime for arbitrarily increasing the fuel costs. And then the thing is, behind him, you could hear people laughing. They are laughing at his stupidity. Now, if your father or mother was in that meeting, if you saw your father there laughing at Moses Kuria's jokes, can you tell your father he's a stupid idiot? And he's the reason why we don't respect that generation. Because how can you laugh at Moses Kuria's jokes or anything? You must be sick. You must be a nutcase. You see, so what you're feeding on has been negative energy. I was telling over the weekend, I was at a restaurant, I was having my meal, and it was the first time I was watching news in a long while. And this is the format of Citizen TV. By the way, I have nothing personal with you journalists. You're doing your job. Sometimes things happen so fast you don't even know that you're in the zone. Here, the top news, Ruto in the US doing absolutely nothing. I don't know, he went to Silicon Valley, took a selfie with a spaceship, blah, 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 nonsense too. And then another story, a political story. And then afterwards, it goes now to those crazy stories. I don't know, pedophile, I don't know, did what. So 3 back-to-back stories. So you see, this is a deliberate attempt or effort to spreading low vibrational energy, and you find that these are now shaping your conversations on WhatsApp groups. And then now WhatsApp groups, they've planted toxic bastards, the toxic bastards whose work is just to taunt and condescending remarks and provoke, and insult. The Kenya Kwisha, what they've been doing, like, so many WhatsApp groups where Kenya Kwisha sycophants, that's all their work. They wake up to just taunt. It's almost like they read the same script somewhere like Moses Kuria. So It's up to you as Kenyans to fight these psychological tools they are deploying to ensure that mass compliance. You have to see, you have to understand it, and one way is to start now doing away with the mainstream media outlets which have been cited as being part of this conspiracy.